If I said the main villain of Demon Slayer is, you'd say Kibutsuchi Muzan. And congratulations, you're right! But what if I told you that there's another, better antagonist that encapsulates everything about Muzan, just 10 times greater? Today, let's talk about Kokushibo, the man who should have been Demon Slayer's main antagonist. But first, what's wrong with Muzan? Why should there be a new, better antagonist? Well, to understand why this is the case, we must first look into the backlash Muzan as a villain has received over the years, because let's be honest, he's not the best. I'd even go as far to say that he is less interesting than all of his Upper Moon counterparts, and I genuinely mean all of them. He has no redeeming quirk that allows him to stand out, and despite all the build-up he had, in the end he didn't even do anything interesting with his Blood Demon art. For 40 chapters it was just flail my arms around, regenerate, flail my arms around, regenerate, flail my arms around, become a baby. And so, with all that in mind, let's begin to draw the parallels between Muzan and Kokushibo to understand why making the latter Demon Slayer's main antagonist wouldn't change the story much, if at all, and how it would actually improve it, starting with why Muzan became a demon and why he seeks complete immortality. So let's rewind 1000 years to the Heian era. Muzan's heart stopped several times while he was still in his mother's womb, and when he was born with no pulse and no respiration, he was declared to be dead. But moments before he was set to be cremated, he let out his first cries. He battled illness all of his childhood, meaning he would pass away before he turned 20, causing him to develop thanatophobia, aka the fear of death. In the search for a cure, Muzan took the blue spider lily medicine, causing him to become the world's first demon. Now let's take a look how the same story can be shared with Kokushibo, just better with more reasoning behind his actions. Growing up, Kokushibo dreamt of becoming the world's #1 samurai. He was the heir to his clan and life looked to be set from him already. However, the thought to be weak, feeble and deaf twin brother Yoriichi turned out to be the prodigy Kokushibo believed he was. He was born with the Demon Slayer mark, blessed by the gods, and thus had outstanding swordsmanship skills without any prior training. This made Yoriichi the heir to the clan their father wanted. But before the two boys could have their positions swapped, thus ostracizing Kokushibo from his family, Yoriichi left, heading to the temple he was assigned at birth. At first, following this, Kokushibo's life was happy and peaceful. He was a powerful swordsman and had a loving family. But one day when attacked by a demon, it was Yoriichi who saved him. Seeing how strong his brother had become, Kokushibo would do anything to learn this power, even going as far as abandoning the life he had built with his family in the pursuit of becoming the strongest samurai. However, it didn't go as planned. Even after awakening the Demon Slayer mark, Kokushibo could not, for the life of him, learn sun breathing. Because of this, he could not reach his brother's level going at such a slow pace, even after creating moon breathing. But things only got worse when he found out that those blessed with the Demon Slayer mark were actually cursed to die at the age of 25. This meant that Kokushibo could never reach the heights of Yoriichi. Furthermore, Kokushibo believed that nobody could ever match the strength that both he and his brother possessed, and that their skills were destined to die out once they were dead. Yet, Yoriichi believed otherwise. He explained to his brother that the two of them were merely a small fragment in humanity's long history, and that the next generation would always surpass them. These words shattered Kokushibo, who couldn't come to terms with the fact that he was set to die so young and that others would surpass him, and thus he sought out immortality. This is important to remember when we take a look at the time that Kokushibo lived in. The Sengoku period in Japan was a time built around power, war, and survival. Only the strongest could succeed, and those that were weak would not only die, but even worse, bring shame to their family. This puts into perspective how and why Kokushibo always felt the need to pursue his power-hungry dream of being the strongest. It's also why he hated his brother, as despite being gifted all the tools to actually be the samurai Kokushibo always dreamed to be, he seemingly abandoned it. However, his desire for power ended up blinding him on his journey, as he abandoned the very things he stood for. He left his family behind when he went to train with Yoriichi, attempted to kill his own blood brother, murdered his descendant, and even lied to himself the entire time. As in his final moments, Kokushibo looked for the advice of none other than Yoriichi, the man he tried so hard to move on from. Now you can probably see how Muzan and Kokushibo's entire stories share the same fundamental properties. They both were destined to die early, and because of this they both became afraid of death and sought out immortality. However, whilst one was because of some plot-convenient illness, the other had reasoning behind their desire to cheat death. Kokushibo believed he had unfinished business and couldn't allow himself to be dethroned as the strongest. Thus, he had to live for eternity so that he could stop the next generation out of pure jealousy and hatred. This gives him a reason to chase down the blue spider lily, creating the upper moons along the way, and also hunting down Nezuko too. Overall, I believe this to be a much better backstory for a main antagonist, especially as it links directly with Yoriichi, one of the most influential men in the story behind Tanjiro himself. Muzan was petrified of Yoriichi. This is because hundreds of years ago, Yoriichi almost killed him. He was the only person to have ever come that close to ending Muzan's reign after using sun breathing to cut him up into thousands of tiny pieces. Because of this, Muzan feared everything connected to Yoriichi, from the Hanafuda earrings and even the sun breathing style. This is why he worked together with Kokushibo to erase everything to do with him. But again, this connection and fear feels extremely contrived when we compare it to Kokushibo and the reasons he had to hate Yoriichi and everything he stands for. Yoriichi, although he never meant to, stole Kokushibo's dream from him. However, Kokushibo needed Yoriichi's help to have any chance of becoming stronger. Without the light shining from the sun, the moon has no purpose. And so, Kokushibo was always destined to be number 2. This fueled his jealousy and made him hate his brother. And so it also makes sense why Kokushibo would want to erase anything to do with sun breathing from the world, as without it, he would finally be able to achieve his dream of becoming the strongest samurai. It also connects better to Tanjiro this way, who inherited Yoriichi's memories, sun breathing, the Demon Slayer mark, the Hanafuda earrings, and furthermore, Tanjiro and Nezuko are also siblings where one became a demon, albeit not by her own consent, but it's similar to Kokushibo and Yoriichi, which, may I add that Tanjiro and Kokushibo never met each other in the entire story? Talk about wasted potential. But I digress. Siblings are a key component of Demon Slayer's storytelling. Besides the 2 examples I've already mentioned, you have Gyotaro and Daki, Rengoku and his family, Saname and Genya. You get what I'm saying. And so we've now covered the 2 most fundamental parts of both of their origins, as well as motivations towards what it is they do and why they oppose the main protagonist. The only difference is that Kokushibo's is way more fleshed out and intricate compared to Muzan's, who feels like it's only the way it is because the plot needed it to be that way. The Upper Moons would have also felt like more of a parallel to the Hashira in this regard, as the Demon Lord Kokushibo opposes everything that Yoriichi believed, thus drawing another connection between everything in the story, giving the Hashira another reason to defeat Kokushibo, as he was their greatest failure, a samurai who abandoned what it meant to be one out of greed and hate. Everything would have just tied together way better had Muzan just never existed and Kokushibo was the one to lead the war against the Demon Slayer Corps. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with me? Get down in the comments below.